Hey guys, what's up? It's the Culture Detective here, investigating your favorite albums. And today I'm going to do my second review, and that would be an album review on the latest Flaming Lips album, American Head. So, psych rock band from USA. They are back, the Flaming Lips, and they have been in the industry for 4 decades already. And while they had dropped some really impressive albums in the late 90s and early 2000s, in the 2010s, they didn't drop a single memorable or great album. It's kind of here and there, and it's not very impressive. However, this time it feels like they have returned to form on American Head, which is actually a concept album and a very emotional, dreamy, and depressing concept album about a young man doing drugs, taking drugs, dealing drugs, and dying because of drugs and letting down his family. And we have tracks like Mother, Please Don't Be Sad, Mother, I've Taken LSD, we have When We Die, When We're High, we have You and Me Selling Weed, Assassination of Youth. It's very much a concept album about that. And the album is just incredibly solid. I mean, most of the tracks on the album, if not all of the tracks on this album, are all very dreamy, ethereal, slow but incredibly dreary and teary tracks that have very narrative heavy lyrics and very melted production, especially on the album opener, When You Return, When You Come Down, which in my opinion is a very beautiful album opener. The instrumentals, the way they just melt down around you slowly, is just incredibly beautiful and emotional, I guess. The pianos are really nice. The vocalist Wayne comes back on the album with a cartoony falsetto vocals, which is prominent in this entire record, and we also get these winding guitars. Once in a while on this record, we would get some special instrumental that would accompany that track. The second track is Watching the Lightbugs Glow, where we have a female vocalist just sort of screaming, singing pretty aimlessly. Not really screaming, but singing pretty aimlessly. Kind of reminds me of the great Gig in the Sky, except it's nowhere near as dramatic as that track. And this track just kind of drags on. It's not as exciting. The third track is called Flower of Neptune 6, and it has a really nice 60s, 70s vintage flavor to it, especially to the repetitions of the verses. And it's also a very sweet and intimate track with some really beautiful performances. And the fourth track, Dinosaurs on the Mountain, is a bit of an old school Flaming Lips throwback track, and it's just okay. It feels typical and it doesn't feel as memorable, but it's not bad. And the rest of the record is one slow, dreamy, painful track after another. We have At the Movies on Quaaludes, which is a more piano-driven track, and we have lyrics talking about this is the American dream in my American head, because the American dream, according to the protagonist, is just doing drugs, dealing drugs. And this concept also moves over to a track later on the album, You and Me Selling Weed, which is a more laid-back track, still very slow, and it's a song about selling weed. And the guitars, the way their tempo sort of changes in the middle of the track is really nice as well, and it fits with the track a lot. The track Mother, I've Taken LSD is one of my favorites. It's a really simple psychedelic folk rock track, and you can really feel the regret in the lyrics of this track, and I also really enjoy the swelling strings and the banging drums, which makes this track even more dejected and downtrodden. The track Brother Eye is even sadder, where we have I Speculate, It's a track where the brother of the protagonist in this album basically mourns for what he has become. So this track, it's like, brother, please don't cry. And this track is more electronic than I expected it to be, with its keyboards, the vocal processing, the swelling bass and slow beat. And it still fits, even though if you separate the electronic elements of this track and the rest of the instrumentals, it sounds like two different things, but it still works. Same goes for the track Assassins of Youth, where we get these bubbly keyboards, which reminds me a lot of Crystal Castles for some reason, and also these auto-tune vocals that you would expect from a Kanye track. The results are great. The track Assassins of Youth is a really warm and beautiful and sad track. We have the track Mother, Please Don't Be Sad, which is a track where the protagonist actually dies in his mother's arms, and his last words are, Mother, please don't be sad, which is incredibly sad. The horns on this track just add so much emotional weight to it. And it sort of transitions over to When We Die, When We're High, which is an extension of the previous track. It's an instrumental track with marching drums, chilly keyboards, and scratching guitars, and while it's not one of the more solid tracks or cohesive tracks on the entire album, it's still not bad. And then again, we return to Assassins of Youth, which is also about death, but in a more metaphorical way, about how this teenage life has died. It's gone. This American dream, it's gone. And the last two track takes on a more religious angle, where we have a God and the Police featuring Casey Musgraves, who provides some really, really beautiful vocal harmonies. Casey Musgraves and Wayne has a lot of chemistry together. The bells on this track are really special as well. And the last track, My Religion Is You, is also not bad. While it doesn't have one of the more memorable emotional peaks on the entire album, the lyrical content of My Religion Is You, My Faith Is You, I put my hope and my dreams on you, and that's all I need, is actually really warming, heartwarming, and this track does wrap things up really nicely with its very quiet drums and burnt keyboards. So yeah, very solid album, not much to complain about. And if you take one track out of this album and take it out of context and listen to it, it's not going to be that good. You need to listen to the whole album in its entirety for how dreamy, sad, ethereal, and psychedelic it is, and of course the very sad and depressing concept of a broken American dream in order to fully enjoy it. And I think it's a really good album. My favorite track here is I don't even know. I don't even know. My least favorite is Watching the Lightbugs Glow. I guess my favorite track is Mother, Please Don't Be Sad. That one hits hard. So yeah, I'm giving the Flaming Lips American Head a decent 8 out of 10. So if you listened to the latest Flaming Lips album, from 1 to 10, how much did you rate it? Like it and subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching. I will be reviewing the Fleet Foxes album, as well as Club Pilgrim, Sprain, Lil Tecca, Machine Gun Kelly, very soon.